Yeah.
So you called earlier, and we didn't get to talk too much, but remind me what your question was, and we'll go through it.
Okay. So I had a realtor call me, and so far we hadn't used any realtors for 6 purchases, and we just signed another 5-acre contract with owner finance. But she brought a couple that wanted to buy 6 acres, and I'm asking $210,000 or $35,000 an acre, and their offer in written form was $180,000,
Okay.
and I countered that with $34,000 an acre, and they countered that with $200,000, and then added in 2% for the realtor.
Okay. So
So my question was, would you hold out for full price of, just forget this deal and hold out for $35,000 an acre, which is what it's worth? That was our last sale, and the fact the 5 acres we just got a contract on, it has almost an acre of floodplain, and the 6 acres that this couple want has no floodplain, so it's clearly worth more than the 5-acre piece.
Right.
And so I wanted to know, would you hold out, or would you go to cash now and we could reinvest it now, or just wait and not stifle any future possible sales?
Yeah. So just to catch everybody up that may see this, Jeff is one of our buddies, but he's also a real estate investor. He invests in land and has been doing that off and on for a long time. So he's got a pretty big piece of land up north of Dallas-Fort Worth. What would you call it?
Anna?
In Anna. And he bought the property with a partner and is cutting it up and developing it and then selling it off as lots. What's your average lot size up there? Is it 5 acres?
Probably 6 acres.
6 acres. Got it. Okay. And
Yeah.
what'd you buy? What was the total size of it again?
74 acres almost.
74 acres. So he's right in the middle of converting those and selling them off. And so this is the question that he had with a current contract he has. So let's run back through it again. So you had it for sale for $210,000, which is $35,000 an acre. The buyer with a real estate agent came back and countered you at $180,000, and then you negotiated, and you're basically sitting at did you say $204,000?
No, well, I'm at 204. They're at 200,000 plus a 2% commission.
Got it. Okay. So they're basically trying to get you down to 196 is what it comes down to.
Right.
So at 196, and how big is this piece of property that you're negotiating?
6 acres.
6 acres. So basically, they're trying to buy it for $32,666 an acre, and you like it, and you've sold them at $35,000 an acre. So, really, what I would do, Jeff, if I were you, and you guys have sold these other parcels fairly quick, right? How long have you owned this property?
Well, we bought it in August of 2018, but we didn't put a road in until March of last year. So,
okay. So in 1 year, you've sold how much?
Last year we sold 1,039,000.
How many acres does that translate into of the 77?
Let's see. It would be 6, 12, 18, about 27 acres, 26 acres.
Okay, so you've sold basically a third of it in 1 year, which is, I feel like, is pretty good for land. You guys are doing it pretty quick, and you said you guys have had a ton of activity, even with all the COVID-19 stuff going on. You guys have still had plenty of interest in it, right?
Yeah, we've been getting. I've been showing 10 or more a week the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Are you literally driving them around the property? Is that what you're doing?
Well, since the COVID-19, they just follow me in their truck or vehicle. And
Gotcha.
some would come out when it's pouring down rain, and we'd get out and look at it, and they'd get out with their umbrella.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
So
Got it. Very cool.
nothing discourages those buyers.
Right.
Hey, I have a, I don't have a lot of experience with land, but I think it's very similar to a new build neighborhood, right? Where once,
Yeah, it is.
And so one of the things those builders have to protect is that sell price, right? Because the one time they make a concession to sell this one house, well, now there's a lower comp in the area, and that sets a precedent for future sales, right?
Right.
And so I would assume it very similar here. So we're not just, so that deviation here of 196 to 204 is really a lot larger than just the 8,000 we're looking at here, because it kind of sets a precedent for future deals too, right? I mean,
Exactly.
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when somebody does the comps, since it's with a MLS agent, it will show up.
Right. Okay.
Whereas
I'm on
all
the same
the other
page.
ones before don't show up because there was no realtor involved.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
was listed with MLS.
And Jeff, so if you take away this property that we're talking about, the 6 acres here, how much do you have left to sell? What do you have that's still available to sell?
Let's see, 8, about 20 acres.
20 acres. Okay. So if you take a discount now, on the one hand, the good side is you're getting the cash, because you said, or how did you say, are they going to finance it themselves, or are you going to finance it? Because you've done some owner financing here.
Right. But they're going to go through a credit union, and so I'll get all cash.
Yep. So it's external financing. So you're not involved in the financing. So on the one hand, you're getting the cash. And if you need the money, or if you guys are, you have something right now that you need the cash for it, maybe that's a good option. But really, what I think is a better option, if you don't need that money right away, is, hold out for that 35. And you're basically taking a discount of 23, 34 per acre. If you multiply that by your last 20 acres that are still for sale, I mean, you're talking about $46,000 that you're leaving on the table potentially by giving, like Lance said, giving the real estate market a lower comp. So, if it were us and if it were me and you didn't need that money right now, I would let it sit. I would back out of that and say, listen, guys, I don't need to take a discount. So, I've got other people interested, and I'm going to continue to show the property and see what happens. And if a month goes by and you don't see something else come through that's there, and maybe the market has changed a little bit, then maybe you go back to them, or maybe you have to discount it a little bit. But that's what I would do.
And
Plus, since it's the springtime, it's the hottest season for selling real estate.
right.
Yep.
It's all green. It's all, especially out in the country. It just, everything's blooming. The wildflowers are out. It's the perfect time.
And when did you, the last contract that you sold at 35, when did you sign that deal?
Today.
Today. Well, when did
Yeah.
you get it under contract? When did you start that process with him?
You mean the 35,000 5 acres?
Yes.
It's probably been less than 2 weeks of probably
That's great.
10 days. We've been talking and negotiating and
Got it. Okay.
ironing out all their questions.
Yeah. So yeah, you're coming into the prime season for selling and buying, and the next 6 months will give you a real good indication. So, I think I would sit on it and see what else comes, and see if you can, you might even be able to push that number up a little bit. So I wouldn't take a discount for sure.
Well, another thing, to take my example earlier about builders and kind of how they need, this is going to be a comp on the MLS, you need it to set a precedent, right? And so
Right.
one of the things, and I'm just thinking out loud here, trying to be more creative than just obviously the advice is hold true, but for the sake of being creative and being on this call, I mean, and using that same example as builders, which I have more experience with, just the retail side. In those scenarios, the builder will say, okay, here's the deal. If you'll let me show 220,000 sold, I will throw in these incentives, right? So, and sometimes it's mini blinds, sometimes it's TVs, washer, dryers, whatever. And that's kind of all under the table. No one realizes the builder gave away $20,000 worth of crap. It just looks like a $220,000 sale. Are there any things that you could do? I mean, obviously you're in the business to get rid of this property and move on to the next opportunity, right?
Right.
We still think you can do that by holding true and just saying thanks but no thanks. But is there anything in the land game, any types of incentives, maybe another piece of land where some of the if that's their they're like, hey, I can't do it on this land, but there's 3 acres in floodplain over here. Is there some things you could do that would benefit you and still get that good comp or get that to where everyone wins? Maybe not the prime 6 acres or whatnot, but maybe something else.
Well, the 5 acres we just got the contract, it had almost an acre of floodplain on it, whereas the 6 acres that they're trying to chew me down on, it doesn't have any floodplain.
Is there anything in
So I,
your road or utility construction that you could throw in that's not already done?
well, the one thing that I always tell them, since we put in a 15-foot wide flex space road for access to all the lots, once all the lots are sold, then I told them that we're going to just come back and see if everybody's still on board with asphalting it. So then you don't have the dust or all the mud, and your car won't need to be washed every time it rains.
Right.
And it'll just be a lot nicer, and then it'll just be a cost split between all 10 or 11 owners, and so it'll probably come out to like around 10 grand a piece to get an asphalt road.
Well, that almost offsets your discount there. I mean, your discount's basically $14,000, so you're almost offsetting it there. That may be something you could do. Maybe you can say, come up 4,000, and then when we put this asphalt road in, it's taken care of. That's something you
Right.
can think about.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's all we got, Jeff. We appreciate the question. We are, Lance and Adam from We Buy Houses Fast in Dallas. We're the DFW house buying guys. So if you have any other questions out there for us, definitely let us know.
Sure will. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Great talking to you.
You too, Lance.
Bye-bye.